Hello. Thank you for tuning in today to learn more about citizen science at EPA and particularly how to apply citizen science to water quality testing. My name is Jay Benforado, and I have one of the best jobs at EPA. I am the Chief Innovation Officer in EPA's Office of Research and Development, and I'm also the EPA Coordinator for Citizen Science. What I wanted to do today was make 5 points. The first, make sure you understand the value and impact of using citizen science. Second, how we have to create these collaborative partnerships, particularly with state, tribal, and local government. Third, make sure you're aware of an EPA QA handbook that helps external organizations apply citizen science. Fourth, give a shout out to an updated EPA Sanitary Survey App. And then finally, ask that you think about equity and inclusion in citizen science projects. So let me proceed with the first point. Citizen science is an emerging area in environmental protection. There are many forms, but it involves the public as part of scientific research. They often collaborate with professional scientists during a project. And the reason EPA is so excited is it really transforms the way that we run programs by having volunteers, often in large number, to contribute to science. So the emerging vision for citizen science at EPA is we are going to embrace citizen science and feel that engaging the public in the work of environmental protection has multiple benefits. And we envision a future where citizen science data are abundant, they're accessible, and they can be used in environmental decision making. This has a long history. There are thousands of groups across the United States that help monitor the conditions of water bodies. We're building on that we're building on that history and moving into an electronic age where low-cost sensors, smartphones, and the internet create much more connectivity that's been possible in the past. So there's a number of kinds of ways that citizen science is being applied in water areas. You can see here a list: harmful algal blooms, drinking water, coastal acidification, invasive species, and beach contamination. Again, we see this as a growth area. So bottom line on what the value and impact of citizen science is it can help leverage government dollars to create actionable information. The added benefits beyond data are that the community is engaged and you get much more buy-in and understanding. And then lastly, the public becomes more educated about environmental concerns and can become part of the solutions. Second point, use of partnerships is absolutely key. Particularly for state, tribal, local governments. EPA worked with the Environmental Law Institute over the past year, and they produced 15 case studies looking at how state, tribal, local governments are using citizen science. They produced a best practices report about how to run successful programs. They had a series, I think 4 interactive webinars to talk with state, tribal, local practitioners. And then they had some final recommendations for how to increase the partnerships between EPA and other government agencies. I've hot linked the ELI reports here, and I encourage you to take a look. In the next couple of slides, I just want to highlight some of the findings from that study. You can see here, I guess 2, 4, 6, 7 water quality case studies, which were part of those 15. And they run the gambit: groundwater in Wisconsin, hazardous algal blooms in Idaho, Lake Champlain, wetlands. There's a tribal project up in Alaska, a more traditional project in Oklahoma, a telephone hotline on fish kills. And then in the upper right corner of the slide, you see that ELI also did a meta-analysis of state environmental programs to look across. Many have longstanding programs, and some of the states like Arizona have just started programs in the last couple of years. This is a wealth of information, as others want to start their own programs to learn from existing case studies. And ELI, the Environmental Law Institute, took a look across the case studies and came up with some practical advice on how to be successful. Strong technical oversight from the state, tribal, local agencies, the provision of training programs. Sometimes they provide equipment and funding. Sometimes states provide small grants for the NGOs that participate with them. And most importantly, clear expectations on data requirements. If the data are going to be used by EPA, state, tribal, local governments, we have to make sure that we understand the quality of the data that's being collected. Third point, EPA in March 2019 issued a QA handbook to help external organizations plan and document the quality of the data that they collect. This is not just for water, this is for any media. And in the middle, you can see here a handbook that provides an overview of the templates that we use to document data quality. But this resource also includes the actual templates themselves, which are downloadable for writing a QA plan, and some real world examples of filled out templates. This is a starting place for groups that want to talk about collecting data for environmental management. And the idea behind the QA handbook is there's different levels of quality needed for different levels of decision, so that you can see here, if it's primarily a public education project, you might have less detail in your quality plan. If you're doing a science study of research, medium level, a mix of some quantitative and qualitative information. And if you're looking at the highest level, maybe for use in decision making, you need much more detail, and it tends to be quantitative data rather than qualitative. The fourth point, EPA recently updated the Sanitary Survey App that's used to help water managers collect and compile information on water quality, pollution sources, land use. This tool can be quite useful both in creating models, and it can be used for the annual sanitary surveys, and note that it's applicable both to marine and fresh waters. I'm not a tech person, and I'm impressed with just how easy the app is to use. It's compatible with all mobile and handheld devices. And EPA is working on a model or generic quality assurance project plan, a QAP, for the app, which can then be customized for particular applications. I put the fine print here at the bottom of the slide. The app is currently available only to states and tribes, and we're working for getting the necessary clearance so that other organizations, NGOs, local governments, and the public can use it. And we have a presentation and demo of the app by Samantha Fontel during the poster session at this conference. So I encourage you to check it out. I want to end on a note that one of the problems with citizen science is that the participants tend to skew towards a demographic that's white, affluent, and highly educated. And we need to improve diversity and inclusion in citizen science projects. So as you're thinking about how citizen science might apply to your work, consider underserved communities and how we might apply citizen science in those communities. It's really empowering to the community to be engaged in collecting data and understanding about the environment. And I think there's a growing sense of partnership between EPA and other levels of government and NGOs to actually expand citizen science so that all parts of our society can be included in citizen science. So in addition to using citizen science to fill data gaps, the closing thought I want to leave you with is that this partnership approach really is about more than just collecting data. It can be used to create more equitable access to the nation's waterways, more equitable waterfront development. It helps improve water quality for all communities that can be used for their local uses, recreation, fishing, swimming, drinking water. And the engagement of the community in collecting scientific data actually encourages them to get involved in water ecosystem restoration and improvement programs. So the bottom line here is that we need to reframe and rethink water issues as how they can be relevant to the issues the community is facing, the community priorities, including, and I've listed here, the things we all want: education, employment, recreation, safe communities, health issues, housing, transportation, and livability. So as we think about citizen science, think about environmental justice and how we engage all the components of our society in the efforts. So in closing, I think citizen science offers much to you in terms of operating programs related to recreational water quality, but please remember, it's much more than just collecting data. We can engage all of our society in understanding the environment. An informed population makes them more engaged in the management of their environment, and ultimately leads to better protection of human health and the environment. Thanks for your time today. Have fun at the rest of the conference. Bye.